Mhm.
Yeah. Right. Record to the cloud. Okay, let's start the day on grassroots digital transformation. Welcome to all my friends, colleagues, and all those participants who logged in from across India, Middle East. Welcome to all of you. So with me, I have my friends, have a keynote address by Mr. Anand Swaminathan from Singapore. I have the speaker of the day, Mr. Jay Ram. He is based in Chennai. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Anand S. Anand Swaminathan, his core competency lies in his over 2 decades of experience in entrepreneurship, orientation with strategic thinking, and decisive business management, which include leadership, coaching, and mentoring. He is now embarking and leveraging these competency to establish an industry first concept called BSAAS, BSaaS, Business Solution as a Service, under the aegis of Specvision Holding Private Limited, Singapore SME, 50 entity with vision to be a leading power in business SaaS solution for SME and enterprise customers through transforming solution, integrating video surveillance, analytics, and Internet of Things. He worked with Sony, American Components, Ingram Micro, Dell, Microsoft, based across Singapore, Dubai, and India. His foray into video surveillance industry started in 2009 when he was appointed as CEO of Zycom Electronic Security System Services, a public listed entity in India. He later served as a vice president of Asia Pacific for CP Plus, a CCTV manufacturer from India. As a co-founder of Blue and Grey in Singapore, he, along with his founding partner, formulated the SPADA framework. The framework helped companies to interlock the management and demand, supply, and marketplace variables. Blue and Grey was later expanded to China, Malaysia, Middle East, UK, and India. He now heads Southeast Asian region as a president of Blue and Grey. He is my colleague, and we work together. Actually, in fact, we started our career together in Bangalore. He is born in Bangalore and a good friend of mine. Moving to our speaker of the day, Mr. Jairam, is the CEO of Milanity. He has developed an array of pragmatic and economical solutions centered around the life of an individual. Visionary leader in the emerging field of connected experiences. After graduating with a bachelor degree from IIT Mumbai, Jay worked as a structural engineer and was also involved as a consultant with Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam project in Gujarat. Following this, he went on to work with an air pollution consultant as an air pollution consultant for a government agency in the US, advised construction industry clients as a consultant holding a professional engineer license, and worked as a vice president of engineering for an infrastructure development company in the Western US. After graduating from the Wharton School with an MBA and earning a master's degree in electrical engineering from University of Pennsylvania. Jay launched a business in the field of home automation in the US. His company completed projects for reputed US home builders such as Toll Brothers and K. Vanian, and also implemented platinum rated lead projects in Philadelphia. He set up operations in India in 2009 with the goal of developing digital living products and solutions in India from the ground up. Working closely with partners, his companies have since completed various projects in India, Singapore, and other countries. Jay has diverse interests ranging from Vedic studies and attending rock and roll concerts. He is also avid sportsman, especially interested in snowboarding and basketball. Above all, his passion, sorry, I have to move this screen. His passion is to contribute to the preservation of Bharat unique culture and value. He is a true Indian, as I know. He is very committed to see and he want to be part of the growth of India. And Jay also is a college mate of Sundar Pichai, who's the CEO of Google Inc. So I personally know Jay for some time, and I invited to be the speaker because today digital transformation is a need of the hour for every citizen of this country. I now request our keynote address, Mr. Anand, to address the gathering. Over to Anand.
Thank you, Dominic. Good morning to all. Greetings from Singapore. As we speak, there's a paradigm transformation happening all around us, whether we like it or not. There are certain events in history that creates tremendous chaos and tremendous opportunities at the same time. I must say that while we empathize with those affected by the COVID-19 pandemic that's ongoing currently, we must also acknowledge that this COVID event will be the trigger to bring digital transformation to the forefront. And this creates opportunities for every one of us, whether we are in this webinar today or whether we are outside of this webinar. It just opens up a door of opportunities for all. As we know, words like IoT and digital transformation are overused and there's too much hype. So it's very important for us to understand the real utility and the significance digital transformation plays in our life. No technology development can be considered successful unless and until it reaches the common man, the owners, the employees of micro, small and medium industries, the small and medium businesses, our families and friends with whom we interact on a daily basis. The digital transformation should touch each and every one of them. Let me share my insights, my experiences, my understanding of digital transformation. And this is being up close and personal with our eminent speaker, Mr. Jay, today, that I've been associated with him over the last few years. In general, we all have heard about terminologies like BMS and IBMS, Intelligent Building Management Solutions. It's been there for many decades now. But the question to ask, has this IBMS impacted any of the SMEs, the SME, small medium industries, the condominiums, the societies that we live in, the clubs and restaurants that we go to on a daily basis, the yoga and the gym that we practice? It has not. Why? Because IBMS is very much an enterprise solution, which is applicable or was applicable in the large buildings five-star hotels, airports, etc. But has anyone so far thought about bringing these IBMS solutions, intelligent building management solutions, into our homes, applicable for micro, small, and medium enterprise owners and employees, our communities, our social life, that is affordable, easily adaptable, and scalable solution? Well, I can, based on my experience, confidently say no one had even got into that sphere of opportunity until I met Jairam, whom later on I realized has been living and breathing this concept for many years. And let me also add, what I told you about IBMS is a very simplified way of connecting with the audience today to understand what digital transformation is about. But Jay and his company Milanity is not about just IBMS for what I said in a few minutes ago. It's far, far beyond that. Today, digital transformation means having to download a mobile app, connect your devices, order a few food and services, and how we interact with what is the need. But that's not digital transformation. Making some payments through banks, through internet applications, or through mobile apps, that's not digital transformation. They're all just one part. Digital transformation is where people like you and me will be able to manage our daily life at home, at office, from the time we wake up till the time we go to bed, all on a unified platform. Hassle-free, easy to understand, not only you and I, but our aged parents at home or young children at home, they all will be able to use the simplified solutions. And today there's hardly such unified platform in the industry other than Milanity that I can think of. It's one platform, whether it's for your multi-storied office, whether it's for your single room apartments, hotels, hospitals, hostels, clinics, condominiums, clubs. It's a single platform. It's even a one platform for whichever brand of hardware you wish to manage. Doesn't matter which brand of lighting, doesn't matter which brand of air conditioning, doesn't matter which brand of video surveillance, access control, all on a single unified platform. Jay has built such a strong platform that integrates and interlinks every aspect of your daily routine to the next routine seamlessly and beautifully. I want you to please take a note of all this. This last statement that I said, it is a platform that integrates and interlinks every aspect of your daily routine to the next routine seamlessly and beautifully. That is digital transformation. And you need to experience it to understand that. On the inside, the solution may seem a little complex, but for the people who use it on the outside, like you and me, it's absolutely beautiful and a pleasant experience. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if I must summarize, you are about to witness today not just a product or a solution a discussion or a talk, but one man's passion towards digital transformation. Jay's patriotism for India is remarkable. While his family still lives in US, Jay has rooted himself in India over the last decade, dedicated himself to the cause of making India a stronger and respectable country in the global community. You cannot have a 5-minute discussion with Jay if it does not touch upon the patriotism part of India. Well, to all the attendees today on the webinar, if you have watched the movie Swadesh, here is a real life character from the movie. It's my pleasure to present Jay Ram for the next session. Over to you, Jay.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Dominic. That was quite touching. I hope I can live up to the tall expectations you have set for me. So now that we have very limited time and I have a lot to speak about, I think I should dive right in, and then I will actually just pick up from here. Okay, and share my screen. Can you all see my presentation? Anand, Dominic, can you see my presentation? Yeah.
Yes, Jay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I always want to start with a small invocation. So I just want to assure you before I start this presentation that this is going to be 100% secular, but nevertheless, I'm going to start with a small prayer. And this is an invocation to connect with all of you, because I'm just not communicating, I feel I'm connecting. So I'm just going to say a prayer. Okay. Om Namaste Astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaaya Trayambakaya Purantakaya Trikagni Kalaya Kalagni Rudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Okay, thank you, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Okay, now let's start. So actually, the goals for this event, okay, I actually have first business grassroots digital transformation, personal grassroots digital transformation, and country grassroots. So in that order, I'll go, and there's a reason for it. So actually, before we start looking for answers, we first need to know what the question is. Okay, so what is the one question actually that is most relevant is what should I do now? Okay, I think there is no other question that's more important for anyone, even for an animal. There is no other question that's more important than what that person should do right now. Okay, and the answer is also pretty simple. Do what makes me happy, but then so many things make one happy, but it might harm others. So do what makes me happy without harming oneself or others. So the question and answer are pretty simple. Okay, and but then what is the problem here if it's so simple? Okay, the problem here is that to go from that one question, okay, what should I do now, to that one answer, okay, do what makes me happy. Why that's such a problem is that there is fear resulting from uncertainty. What kind of uncertainty? Uncertainty about the future. There is always fear. Actually, I feel fear is what makes the world go around and not greed. It's often said greed makes the world go around, but I feel fear makes the world go around. And so we somehow have to overcome fear. So, okay, I just wanted to let you know that this is going to be a bit of philosophical discussion, but bear with me, please. I will touch on plenty of technology topics, but then it's going to be weaved in with some philosophy. Okay, and okay, what is a solution approach here? Okay, what is a solution approach to overcome fear? Okay, so why fear? Essentially, there are so many unknowns. So if we can make as many of those unknowns knowns in our lives, then potentially we can erase that much fear. Okay, so the fear of the unknown, if we can make it knowns. And then that another way of saying is that if you can make unknowns knowns, that will bring the future to the present, because the fear is usually in the future. Okay, so it will bring the future to the present on more certain terms. So to bring certainty is our goal. Okay, to bring certainty, to make the unknowns knowns, and this will result essentially in diminishing of our fears, and then put us hopefully on a path to enduring happiness, which should be the goal of everyone, every moment actually. Okay, so again, this is not a philosophy discussion, but then now and then, please bear with me. It'll be helpful and useful to our discussion. Okay, so I just want to talk from the heart and not just from the mind. Okay, and now, what are the benefits of digital technologies? So it's very easy enough: secure living, healthy living, convenient living, enjoyable living, and connected living. But I want to put this in perspective. So secure living. So we all feel, okay, secure living means security systems, and healthy means some health monitors and gadgets, and convenient living means, certain automated systems and so forth. Enjoyable means digital music and all that. But then I want to actually remind all of you that these kinds of human instincts have been around since humans evolved, maybe 100,000 years ago, and then more recently, as of 10,000 years ago. Even cavemen enjoyed all this. They wanted to feel secure. They hid in caves. They had made some crude weapons, and they cared about their health too, and in other ways. Okay, and then they sought convenience in the form of straw beds and whatnot. And they also danced around and enjoyed life, and they connected with each other. So they had their own languages and so forth. So actually, what has digital changed is how we experience all these things, and not what. Okay, what is experienced actually has been around for a long time. But how we are experiencing it has changed, and digital technologies have given us various other ways to enjoy the same human instincts. So now I just want to just quickly go over where we have come from and where we are going. Okay, smartphones, apps, cloud, 4G, 5G, where they are all in place. And right now the stage is set really for an explosive, the game is just set, on your mark, get set, and the go has started. So until now, you people may feel like, okay, technology has come a long ways and everything is tech and whatnot. But actually, that's not the case. A lot of what we see around us are still bits and pieces and manual. And then the real benefits of technology are actually going to be evolving in the coming decade. Okay, and in what sense? Tools for remote collaboration, lower costs, and productivity can be measured. So now actually most people have gone homes and they're working from homes. So you must have seen tools, and then they've lowered costs actually in the form of, maybe some real estate not needed, and then and also travel not needed. And productivity can be measured even if a person is working from home. And cloud-enabled disintermediation of middlemen and paperless process flow. So middlemen were actually consuming, actually I have nothing against middlemen, but then the fact is that at some point when technology comes, middlemen in certain ways in which they do not add fundamental value, they are going to be disintermediated. Okay, so from that perspective, essentially cloud-enabled disintermediation has happened or is happening and will happen at a brisk pace from now. Okay, and paperless process flow will also, happen in sync with that. Now, I want to get to APIs. This is one hugely important concept that everybody needs to understand and know, and most of you do, I'm sure. APIs are going to be working wonders, because right now within an organization, maybe people are connected in certain ways, certain processes may be connected, but not between organizations, not between various aspects of our lives. So how do we securely, pull together diverse aspects? And this is what APIs enable. Okay. Also, one more thing I want to mention is integrated platform as a service and connected experiences as a service. So people are actually not just offering software as a service. So moving forward, if you just offer software as a service, the issue here is that people download, then you just use. Yeah, sometimes it solves certain problems, but then it doesn't bring together everything you need to do. You need to know. Okay. So as Anand was saying in his introduction, we are moving more towards platforms of being offered as a service and experiences being offered as a service. And finally, and the most important, data security is going to be extremely important, because we have distributed systems and people are working and enjoying life from various places. So the importance of data is, the data security is going to be paramount. So let's talk about business transformation. So the same questions. So instead of what should I do right now, what decisions should my company make right now? Okay. And if you had the answer to this, everybody would be able to run a successful company, but including me, actually, I've basically made 80% of my decisions have been wrong in my own businesses. So, but then, I'm myself trying to understand how to use technology to understand what are the decisions to make, the most important decisions to make right now. Okay. And do what is needed to, do what is needed to maximize profits. The one answer is do what is needed to maximize profits or shareholder value for public companies while causing minimal collateral damage. So for an individual, it is to maximize happiness. For a smart business, it is to maximize profits and to maximize shareholder value. Okay. So the next thing I want to move towards is businesses function right now are disconnected silos. Okay. Now the current scenario is that most SMEs have not gone digital yet in their processes, except for payments. So digital payments are everywhere. But then when you look at the processes, they have not gone digital, and this is one huge opportunity that everybody is pursuing. And where they have gone digital, it's only for specific needs, and they are disconnected between those specific needs, to other processes. And then why is this the case actually that SMEs aren't so connected? I'm actually going to focus on SMEs because large corporations, as you know, they have plenty of resources, and they definitely have already taken the right steps. And so why are SMEs operating in disconnected silos? Essentially because everybody needs customized experiences, customized solutions. But the problem is that by the time you customize, it becomes expensive, and then SMEs aren't willing to pay that much money. So how can you do mass customization, which is, of course, a challenge. When I say economical, it's very economically. So it's not like download and use. They want it tailored to their own circumstances. And then it has to be delivered economically as well. And then the other part of it is, even if these solutions were available, the mindset has to be changed, because a lot of people are in, like, why fix if it ain't broken kind of mindset. And then it needs to move from there to, it is broken. We have to realize that, okay, there are some better ways to live. There are some better ways to run a business. So unless we realize that, we're not going to change. And I see actually this is the most common. I've spoken to maybe thousands of businessmen and other people, and this is the most common hurdle. They are causing themselves hurdles by basically not realizing that they can improve their lives in very simple, by taking very simple actions. And there is huge inertia, so to speak. Okay. And okay, then what are the steps in actually involved in the digital transformation of an SME business? Okay. Which is, the first thing is to create a digital footprint of a business. Like if it's a hotel, how do you actually create a digital model of that hotel, and then bring it to the of the physical hotel, and then bring it to the digital domain. So how do you do this? You actually then break out all the functions that a hotel offers. Check-in, check-out, customer service, room experience, invoicing, and all that, food and all that, and then actually bring it to the digital domain. So, but then for a business to be able to deliver the very best experiences possible, the one thing that is most important is that the internal operations need to be connected. Okay, so this is when if the internal operations are not connected, then there is no way that a business can actually deliver customer delight. So a lot of people actually then subscribe to certain ways of delighting customers without ensuring that their own home is in order. Okay. So the second step essentially is to connect internal processes, and then the customer delight comes as a result of these two things. Okay, along with a few other customer-centric actions. Now I just go down a quick. This won't be quite a case study as it says, but I just want to actually quickly touch on. Okay, if it's a smart hotel, then there is room automation, check-in, check-out, billing and payments, electronic security, food services, task management. Now, if you look at these items, so some have to do with devices, some have to do with payments, some have to do with customers, handling customers, some have to do with internal tasks, etc. So a variety of things have to come together essentially in order to create a truly connected end-to-end experience for the hotel, the hotel's employees, the hotel's management, and the customers. Similarly, a resto bar, food services, digital displays, entertainment experiences, task management, electronic security, and hygiene and health and hygiene, which is the most important as we speak. Okay, and fitness center. Okay, energy management, billing and payments, health and hygiene, security, events management, task management. I want to touch on this a little bit, maybe. So how can you delight customers in a fitness center? And my experience of going to fitness centers everywhere, I mean, whether in the US or here or in Singapore, it's just that you become a member and then you go and work out, and that's it. So they might play some music or whatever, and then it's up to you. And then when the dues are when your membership's expiring, they call you or message you, and then you renew and try to get you to renew and potentially offer you a discount. But actually, the engagement has to be continuous. There are various ways in which you can engage, and engagement has to be continuous, and engagement has to be personalized. Okay, but I've not really seen it yet. And I'm sure it'll happen, but then this is what we have to make happen. Okay, and so next, actually, I want to move. Sorry, actually, I'm moving at a very brisk pace because I have a lot to talk about and share. So we can have further discussions, etc., one-on-one or maybe in another group. But I have to pretty much move at a brisk pace. And so this is one of the most important slides I have, and one of the most important concepts I wish to explain. So we have all heard of Internet of Things. Okay, I want to actually somewhat reduce the value of Internet of Things a bit, and then start focusing on, or let's say defocus on Internet of Things, and then start focusing on Internet for Things. Okay, so Internet of Things means, okay, things are there and they are connected anyway, but then there's a problem about, the problem is now how are people supposed to benefit from it? So what does it do for me? That's a question. So I'd like to actually frame it as IFT and Internet for Things. So Internet of Things is about connected devices. Whereas how is it useful for me right here and right now? Okay, now Internet for Things is personalized experiences that improve quality of life. Okay, and that's what everybody cares about. Okay, you're not caring about how devices are connected and what technology is used to connect those devices, etc. Okay, now the main thing is right now I want to emphasize something here. So technology is galloping, okay, at a very brisk pace. Okay, the pace of technological evolution, people are not coping up with at all. So the gap between actually technology progress and adoption actually is increasing as we speak. It's not decreasing. So it's hard to catch up because innovation is happening at that rapid pace. So anyway, so to come back to this Internet for Things, so how do you then offer the benefits? How do you then deliver Internet for Things to people? You deliver it via connected experiences. So a person has to be at the center of their life, and then essentially a person has to be able to experience connected in their life. Okay, and so how do you do this? Again, instead of starting with products, and this is basically where Internet of Things essentially, it sort of misleads us in a certain direction, and the starting point itself seems to be not quite correct. So the starting point here needs to be actually, you start with desired experiences. You start from how a business is functioning or how a person is living, and then you work your way backward towards whatever technologies or suitable products might fit in that situation. Okay, and that's why the arrow is running backward here, connected experiences back to products essentially, and not the other way around. So most often we actually have products and we say, okay, how can this be useful for us? Okay, so that's not the way to look at it. Actually, this is something very important. Actually, there might be quite a few system integrators here actually that have joined us. So I want to actually make this point that you always start from a client's experience and a situation. I mean, we sort of try to think, okay, we try to look at it this way. Of course, everybody says, oh yeah, I'm client-centric, I'm customer-focused, etc. But then ultimately, you're representing a company and their products, and then you fall in that same trap without even understanding that we are in it, that we are just going to just say, okay, you know what, this product can do these things for you. Why don't you try it out? So instead, if you start with connected experiences and move back to products, it will certainly win the day for you. Okay, and this is another important slide and concept. The real-time information. So there is one particular concept that's going to drive this entire decade of the 20s. Essentially, it's real-time. So we are going real-time. Okay, we have gone real-time already. Okay, but not at a more grassroots and fundamental level. So we have gone real-time IPTV and all that. Okay, but then it's not again centered around a person's life. Okay, I mean, now it's real-time in the sense that it's out there, we can access it real-time. Okay, but then essentially now the next real-time is how I can experience what I need in real-time. Okay, and that's where we are going in the 20s. So, okay, now just to understand what happens with data itself, data flows from a place of no value. You can see these actually data sources A, B, and C in this figure. So data flows from a place of no value, which is a source, to a place of high value, which is the consumer. And it is displayed. It is displayed at the right time as useful information. So that's sort of, it seems obvious, but we need to actually start practicing looking at data in that manner. That it's what data can be moved from where to produce what kind of value. Okay, and this is a simple enough exercise, but it will help us a lot in actually dealing in designing and delivering the best experiences. And then also information needs to be aggregated and personalized economically. Okay, so I just want to actually focus on this sketch a little bit. So there are 3 data sources and there are 4 people. Okay, so people access data from multiple data sources. So now how to understand what information to feed to whom and when. Okay, so how is that sequencing done? So to the left, you see information flow rules. Whom? First, actually, you got to think about who are you actually, not what data, okay, but who is the person? Again, it's people-centric. Who is the person that needs that data? So what then that actually generates a need. Okay, first of all, you have to generate a need. Okay, then the data comes alive as information. Then you say what. Okay, so who, then what. So then after defining who and what, then when. Okay, then of course this person needs this information or this data delivered at that information, but when does he need it or when does she need it? Okay, and also it may be based on some trigger. Okay, at sunrise I need this, or if my child is back home I need this. Okay, I need that information. And then how and what form? Okay, so there are many formats and forms right now, messaging and emails, and then phone and TV and so forth. So various types, and what kind of a format is it going to be delivered in? So whom, what, when, how, and that's a good structure to think of when we think of how to deliver data to people, information to people. So examples of applications. Okay, these are actually, this itself, we could go on actually for each of this, we could talk for a complete hour, okay, or longer actually. Real-time productivity, this is going to be extremely important, and there are many productivity tools. But real-time productivity, you don't measure productivity at the end of the month or end of the quarter, but then you measure it, you measure productivity as a task is done, as a milestone is reached, okay. And how are projects managed? This is going to be redefined as well, and projects have been managed haphazardly until now, and then from now, essentially, projects will be managed in a much more data-centric manner, which means that real-time productivity can be measured, and then steps can be taken to ensure that people that are supposed to do the job are in the right place at the right time, doing the right job, getting the job done. Okay, and then of course, when you can do all this, profitability is an output, an automatic report. It's basically just flows from all this. Okay, real-time profitability. So real-time profitability is also important because often we find out at the end of the quarter or the end of the year, but I made so much money, but I don't know where it all went. Okay, so this real-time profitability also is important, and this flows from the whole concept I've been explaining about right now. So you've heard, I mean, next we come to AI ML, and you've heard about everything is artificial intelligence, and actually everybody fancies throwing it in anyway. Okay, just to make sure, I mean, I'm sure they've applied it in some way, but then again, okay, how is it going to help my life? That is not quite clear. So I just want to actually sort of make it simple here. Now, why do we need this? Why do we need essentially AI, ML, and so forth? Okay, now there are rapid environmental changes. Environmental means I'm not talking about nature and environment. I'm talking about essentially there are rapid changes all around us. Okay, data is being generated, that's of interest to us. Okay, our parents actually are alone or living on their own in India, and family is the son or daughter in the US is in the US or Singapore. We need to monitor them. Have they woken up or not? Have they woken up? Okay, inform me. If they've not woken up, inform me. So data. So things are changing on the outside, and then also on the inside also as people, we evolve and transform, and businesses evolve and transform. So many things around us, they are changing, some of which we don't even realize that could make that these factors have an impact on us. We don't realize they have an impact on us. Okay, but they do. And then the next thing is that these internally, each of us is changing as we speak. We are changing, so how do we factor in all the changes that are happening outside? And then also factor in our own changes that we don't even notice, okay, unless others tell us that we have changed. And then how do we factor all this? And sometimes we know the changes. For example, a person has had a child. We know that that those changes are happening. That we need to respond to that. I mean, having a child is a big, is a change in a person's life, and then we need to respond to that, and that has information elements that are relevant. Okay, so you take all of these into account, external, internal. And then we need to make real-time decisions. So this is quite complicated. Why was it not a factor until now? Just because it was not. I mean, because we didn't have the tools needed, and then we just dealt with life anyway. Okay. But actually, I want to emphasize that everything is information. Even a light switch is information. A light switch, actually, you can look at it as a piece of device, or you can look at it as a state, whether it's on on, or whether it's in on mode or off mode. As a state, it's it's information. As an object, it's a device. Okay. And so anyway, so external, internal, you take all that and you're going to make real-time decisions. And this gets complicated enough that that AI, ML, etc., can help us make the right decisions at the right time. And that's sort of a simple way of putting it. And this is one of the other developments that is all set to hopefully positively improve our lives in the coming decade. I want to actually mention also one thing. Paradoxically, messaging tools have made information organization harder, not easier. So I just want to, for example, we use WhatsApp and various other messengers and or messaging tools. And then actually, So prior to all this, when we had papers, we were organizing things with papers, things were a lot better organized. People knew actually 20 years ago how to organize things a lot better than we know how to. I mean, the current generation, they organize information a different way. They organize information in their messages itself, So I sort of don't think that that's a good way to organize information. So they just go look up and search message, and sometimes you don't know how it's not indexable, So the thing is, and the rate at which we are generating data, so it's not a good way to actually organize information. So we need to actually bring back some of the past data organization skills, and then bring it back to the present, and then evolve a certain model on how to organize data and how to organize information. So this is an example of AI ML applications. So I just want to, business could have businesses have two sides, operations side and customer side. I mean, just to keep it simple. And on the customer side, actually, you have, I want to just focus on acquiring customers. There are all kinds of tools, delighting and upselling. I want to focus on customer delight in the context of, let's say, a hotel. Okay, so let's say, in Shimla or in some other Western country where it gets cold, a customer checks into a hotel and then they've gone out. Essentially, it's about 4 o'clock. They get back. After some sightseeing, they get back, and typically, on a hot day, people like to enjoy hot chocolate or maybe some tea. Okay, lemon tea or whatever, something that's so warm or even hot. Okay, and the thing is, and then they've come back, they've returned. Okay. And then they want to enjoy a drink. So what happens now is it's very difficult for, if you're a human and if you're basically at the reception, or if you're handling many customer inquiries, to understand that, okay, this customer has returned. It's cold. It's cold out there, and then essentially, okay, a hot drink might help this guy. So let me then make that call and let me get the kitchen to serve him a hot drink. So there are so many things that need to happen here. Okay. So what happens is, first of all, the fact that, okay, if the weather is such and such, then a hot drink would help. Okay, that's a piece of data that needs to be put together with the person returning, maybe a digital door lock on his door, that then triggers that the person has returned. And then also that particular person likes this kind of hot drink, which the hotel might have that data. Okay. And then finally, to send that message to him, okay, hey, would you like something? Even before that person has realized, innately the person actually already knows, okay, hey, you know what, I'm going to get out and get into my room, feel warm, and then order a drink. Okay, and that's what he might think, or he might be feeling that. But if you can delight them even before they actually have placed that call, that would be, they would be clients for life, and you'd get excellent reviews. And so just in this example, this is how things are going to evolve. And in a way, things are going to get simpler, actually, not so complicated. Right now, we see that technology has, in fact, made life complicated in many ways, but then things are going to become simpler. But simpler also means it's also how our approach to technology in life itself is. Otherwise, it's not nothing can make anything simple for us. Okay. So I want to actually, this is a good segue. I want to go more towards personal digital transformation. Okay, as I sort of was just talking about a person. And okay, I just want to actually present a paradox here. Okay, for some people who may have heard of this. So Sri Adi Shankara had said, okay, the universe is real. So universe is real. Okay, Brahman actually here it means for people, most of you may know, but Brahman is all there is in the cosmos, all of it. And nothing is not a part of Brahman, and Brahman is all there is. So universe is real. Okay. And I'm so sorry, actually, there's an error here. Universe is real and Brahman is unreal. Okay, and the universe is Brahman. Okay, sorry, actually. Universe is real, Brahman is unreal, and the universe is Brahman. So there's a paradox. So the essence is actually the universe is real, the first thing. Okay, and then if Brahman is unreal, then how can universe be Brahman? Okay. So the universe that they talk about in the first line and the universe that talks about in the third line, they are two different universes. One is the universe we perceive. The other is the universe that is. Okay. So our perception of the universe is, so I'm so sorry for actually the error, but the crux is this: our perception of the universe is really not what it is. That's what it says. Similarly, our perception of technology should not be what it is. Okay. For those people actually that need my presentation, I'll actually make this change and then send it over, and then you can review it if you wish. Okay. So similarly, our perception of technology is actually not real. Okay, our perception of technology is not real, but then technology as a part of nature is real. Okay, so we should perceive technology as not the other thing. So that's the point I want to make. We should perceive technology as not the other thing. Okay, there is then life and there's technology, and I somehow need to fit my life into that. So technology is a part of nature. We should just take it naturally as a part of nature, is real. And then we just have to make it our own and feel comfortable with it, and make it one with us. So human progress since the digital revolution. Okay, and I want to actually see, okay, so we all know the benefits of the digital revolution: stupendous financial gains, significant standard of living improvements, etc. We have experienced all that. Okay, but then you know, at a fundamental level, there are challenges, and I see that actually this has not necessarily made people happier. Okay, and why that's the case, I feel. Okay, and why that's the case is because of enormous information overload. Okay, once upon a time you could just write letters and then wait for 2 months, and then you got a reply, you knew things were okay. And now we are expected to respond to, you know, 50 messages an hour. I mean, I'm not really that connected, so I I don't have that kind of information overload, and I try to keep my my focus to, I mean, my, let's say, messaging commitments to the minimum. So, but I see that people are really stressed with having to, you know, continuously respond to life situations, and some of which actually is not really necessary, and some of it is. Okay, so essentially we need to be able to curate what kind of information we have to respond to, and then what can be left alone. And the short reactions time expected of us, you know, we get a message, okay, why it's been 3 minutes, the person hasn't responded, so this puts pressure on us. Okay, and then the third reason is, of course, a bit philosophical: aspirations bordering on greed. Okay, so we can see that, okay, you know what, anybody can do anything. So aspirations are good. Then if it borders on greed, essentially it leads to you know, a bit of unhappiness. Okay, now I want to then so going back to the slide, essentially there are benefits and there are challenges. How can we have the cake and eat it too? Actually, how can we enjoy the benefits and but basically not suffer the consequences, let's say. Okay, and actually it's about maintaining our sanity. Okay, maintaining our sanity, and then, like I said, being focused and not being all over the place because we have too much to do. Okay, and that is the only way we can experience harmony in these times. Okay, and okay, now this is actually on the left essentially is a sad person, and that person actually is reaching out to a lot of places. He's always reaching out for information, reaching out here, reaching out there, you know, on a call, on messages, etc. But then when the next person actually, he has got information coming to him. Okay, so this is what we need to do. We need to build personal information networks so that information comes to us. So we're not chasing around for information. We're not like, you know, running helter skelter, you know, and that's what I see happen right now. Okay, so but then that infrastructure, who will build? How can it be built? And that's what this presentation is about, actually. This is frankly Anand, Anand and Dom that introduced me, and they actually were talking about my company, Millanity. Actually, this presentation is not about my company at all. This presentation is about a framework on how we can live better through technology. Okay, and so I want to actually restrict this to that only, and then actually, how can we build for ourselves an information network? Let it be from business, let it be from our personal commitments, etc. So information is flowing to us, and then we can actually determine what to do, and then simplify life. So just an example, okay, we leave our home and then we go to the office, we go to restaurants, to a restaurant for lunch, we go to a fitness center in the evening, then business travel comes about and we check into a hotel. So we actually, you know, this is sort of a typical person's life. Okay. Now, how to actually think of these kinds of locations we go to or we live in. So the entire life, actually, you can think of it from the time we were born in our and then to the time we leave our mortal bodies. We actually go from location to location, place to place, and our life is unique. No one comes with us. I mean, most of the time we go on our own from place to place. Okay, so in this kind of a life, essentially, each place has something to offer us in the form of that place's properties. You know, I mean, home offers us some conveniences, some family members, maybe a pleasant temperature. Office might have certain other amenities, and it might have a kitchen, a canteen that offers some food, etc. So restaurants and so forth. So what we do is, what are the properties that we need to assimilate or we need to experience at that moment from that place? That's what we need to ask ourselves. Okay, and then we get exposed to that, and then we take that in securely, and then we leave the rest behind, and then we move on to the next location. So this is sort of how life is going to evolve and should evolve. Okay, so there are just a couple of, actually, this is just a little bit technical, and there are stateless interactions, there are stateful interactions. Stateless interactions means like, let's say I just give you an example of a dog and a cat. So a dog essentially remembers you. So the moment you come home, it's just jumping all over the place. It remembers you. It's got a state. It's got a session with you. Even if you're not there, if you're at work, it's got a session going with you. A cat essentially is a stateful transaction, because you might come back home. It's just indifferent. It's just, basically minds its own business. So we just need both, actually. So for example, your web, HTTP is, it's a stateless, it runs on stateless technology. Basically, you just ask for information, it gives you, and then says goodbye until you ask for more information. Okay, whereas in this kind of an interaction in your life, you need stateful sessions also, because you need actually that place to respond to you. You cannot always keep asking for things. Okay, so it needs to understand who you are and ask for you, like that puppy. So essentially, that's sort of how we should evolve and we should design solutions. So beautiful connections. So I want to actually say beautiful connections with the outside that make us connect with ourselves, which is why we feel happy. So when we connect with all these locations in a beautiful manner, in this manner, okay, it makes us feel happy. Okay, and next one. Okay, so what about personalized experiences? Okay. So these are all what are called, actually, those properties that I was talking about. Each and every location exposes itself to certain properties. And then it's up to us to then pick and choose what we want to experience. We want to pull, not push. We don't want something to be pushed to us. We want to pull from those locations, those properties that are valuable to us, and then move on. But then sometimes we want that place to remember us, and then we want to maintain a session with that place regarding that property. So I want to actually also touch on another important concept, which is transition from time thinking to space thinking. So we all think a lot about time, what's going to happen in the future, what's going to happen now, what happened in the past, etc. So first of all, there's no past. The past is actually only in our own minds, not to again sound philosophical, but it's in our own minds. We forget something, it is almost like it didn't exist. Okay, and similarly, the future is not yet here. And so let's, again, that goes back to the same question, what can I do right now? Essentially, that will make me happy. So time is still for those who have mastery over the present. Okay, so if I can master the present, then I can almost make time still, because I'm not thinking about the future. So time is still. So I go from actually like your movie reels. So you can actually, when the movie runs, those individual clips, actually, if it's running, the projector is running, then essentially you see it as a movie. Otherwise, you should see them as individual still clips. So time is still. If we can master that, it's that moment, then time is still for us in that moment. Okay, but then let's gain control over that moment. Okay, if you can gain control over that moment, you can gain control over time. Okay, and then remove that anxiety. And technology can help us do that, actually. Okay, this is not just philosophical. Technology can help us do that. In fact, I want to go back to what I said earlier, which is basically, making the unknowns knowns, making the unknowns from the future knowns in the present, which essentially means that we have gained a better control over the present. Okay, and then this is how the past and future will converge into the present. Okay, so this way you're transitioning through space and not through time. Okay, so for example, in this previous thing, I just was showing how you're going, okay, transitioning through. This just transitioning. You don't have to think of see, typically we say that, okay, in the morning I left home, in the afternoon I went here and this and that, and that's how we think of it as. But then you can also think of it as, okay, I was here as separate clips in your life. And here actually I want to, and technology as an element of nature can help us in this transition by enabling connections. I wanted to share a video. Okay. So you can see each of these circles. Actually, I'll maybe play it again. So you can see each of these circles vanish. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then there's nothing. So here, actually, a point I want to make is that when there is nothing, that means there is everything. All possibilities exist. So, but whereas when you saw those particular number of circles, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we are just so focused on that it just actually restricts our own imagination. So I just want to actually say that, okay, I mean, philosophies, actually, Eastern philosophies have mastered this in the form of nothingness. But then here in the context of information, I want to say that, okay, you know what, again, if you have basically made all those yellow circles, you can think of them as problems to solve or unknowns. If you can make all those unknowns as knowns, then you get a blank slate. And in that blank slate, essentially, all possibilities exist. Okay, so this is what I wanted to explain through this brief video here. Sorry, actually, I got to get past this slide. Please hold on a second. Actually, my laptop is just, this slide is a bit information heavy. So I just, okay, hold on one second. I'm out of it. I will restart. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay. Now actually, this is another important, interesting slide. Okay, digital transformation to analog. So digital analog, you guys have heard of it. Analog is real life. The world is analog. Trees are growing in an analog manner. We are actually evolving in an analog manner. And digital is nothing but a sample of the real, sample of the analog. The digital world is nothing but a sample of that, which is then amenable to computer manipulations, digital manipulations. So we are increasingly limiting our perceptions of the world to those formed from the digital imprints made in our mind. So the real perception of the world is analog. The real world is analog, but actually we see the analog, the real world through digital. We're not aware of this, actually. We're not cognizant of this, but this is what is happening. So a lot of actually problems actually right now come in the past maybe 5-6 years, and then going into the future are going to be are resulting just from this, from the fact that we are not able to understand the real world, and our perception of the real world comes from the virtual world, which is powered by digital technologies. So actually this resulted in a sense of disconnect with reality, which is analog. Okay, in our journey of life, we must make a conscious effort to rewind the digital imprints. That means, let's say, for example, we have an imprint of how a certain something works, the real world works in some manner, or a place or whatever you have viewed, etc. You can actually go back and at least imagine how that place looks in real time. Rewind the digital imprint and then try to imagine how that place could be in real time. Okay, and real time is in reality. I mean, okay. And so here I want to, okay, in our journey of life, we must make a conscious effort to rewind the digital imprints that technology provides us to connect us back to the beautiful real analog sources. So the source is analog, okay, but a copy is the digital imprint. So we have to rewind from the digital imprint back to the analog source in order for us to really appreciate life. So the bottom line is, let's not live our life through apps. Okay, so that's the so actually, since there are a lot of system integrators here, I just want to have one piece of advice for them, that there are so many exciting things set to happen, because from now on, people are not going to be needing personalized experiences. Businesses are not going to be needing customized solutions. That a lot of people in the system integrator industry, and I'm also one, actually, we look at life as a system integrator is a person that makes things happen. You know, we take technology, I both develop technology and I help implement it. And so I sort of think, okay, you know, when I go implement, you know, people sort of think that, okay, you know what is the item? They value the product. They're not valuing the knowledge so much that the person who's going to deliver that value to them brings. And so as a result of that, actually, there is this middleman mentality that is built. And so I want to actually evolve from that middleman, being a middleman, have them evolve from being a middleman to being a man in the middle, whose skills are needed to deliver the personalized experiences I've been talking about all along. Also, this is just in as fun. Okay, life should be a venture, not an adventure. Adventure is something that's planned. Okay, and adventure is something that is just you just go ad hoc and you just check things out. Okay, yeah, I mean we need adventure in life. Not things have to be spontaneous. Not everything can be planned. But then when life itself becomes an adventure and it's ad hoc all the time, it's not exciting. Okay, it's not so much fun. Okay, it's fun only when adventure is mixed in with planned sequences in life. So, okay, now I just wanted to get to the topic I love the most, India's digital transformation. I first want to apologize actually if these are just my ideas, and so if it just agrees with you or not doesn't agree with you, just please pardon me, and we can have another discussion on it. Okay, so India's evolution to Bharat. Okay, now this is not political or anything. I'm just trying to say here by saying Bharat that we need to bring some of our lost values into the mix, and technology can help do that too. Okay, and it's not like we have to forsake technology to move back to the past, and but technology can help us actually integrate to the past, to our culture and values. That's what I mean by past. Okay, so three things actually: deep education reform, de-urbanize, utilizing digital technologies, and fastidious protection of the environment. Okay, so one thing I want to actually mention is, because I'm quite serious about education, the education sector. This is actually, you may not be aware of this, and this is quite, a sad state of affairs. So in the International Math Olympiad for high school students, okay, India placed an average in the past 5 years of 33rd. I mean, we ranked 33rd. Okay, China placed around second, and USA first to second. Okay, and then Iran is 15th, Thailand is 8th, Korea is 3rd, and Vietnam is about 9th. So you see these countries. So we think of ourselves as great in math and this and that. But unfortunately, we're not good enough. And this actually is not just a result from an exam. This is actually indicative of two things. Society's trends. We have the brains. We have the brains to go and actually win this competition, rank first or second. Okay. But then the thing is, our focus is not that. Our focus is basically on cramming for an exam and essentially maximizing our output, and then getting that job as a middleman for some multinational company, or a manager from some multinational company, or a middleman somewhere, or essentially a banker, or whatever it is that's going to make us the most money. Okay, so we're not really, we should just start actually encouraging our children to become scientists, okay, and researchers. And there's a great value in contributing to nature. I mean, to understanding of nature, and then how, and then essentially, making, helping India make progress. Okay. So my opinion, the fundamental goals of education and indeed the entire educational apparatus in India needs overhauling actually from the ground up. If a student hasn't heard of Brahmagupta or Satyendranath Bose, he or she cannot be passionate about contributing to Bharat's future at all, no matter what they may have mastered Einstein. Okay, but if they have not heard of these great gentlemen, then how can they contribute to our country's future? By the way, Brahmagupta is actually the reason why we even have these numbers, by the way, right here on the top. Okay, so Brahmasputika Siddhanta is that great treatise he wrote, from which came a lot of these, these inventions, discoveries, I mean, and the world owes it to him, not just us, which actually Einstein himself actually acknowledged. That the digital revolution wouldn't have been possible without contributions from India. Okay. So, I mean, not just zero. I mean that's well known, but our contribution to mathematics goes way beyond zero. Okay. So patent applications, there's one more thing actually. You can see India as a per capita GDP per capita population. Any way you look at it, it's even more actually quite not encouraging. You can see China, USA, etc. These are his patent applications filed in 2018. Okay. So if we have not really, put in efforts to do some fundamental research, then we're going to be actually importing weapons from people for a long time. Actually, we're going to be just again middlemen, copying, and seeking others for help to the extent possible, and so forth. So we actually don't have the fundamental wherewithal to transform our own society, let alone contribute to the world. Okay. So there's another reason actually. So I just showed two pieces of data. One is performance in this math Olympiad, and the second is actually patents filed. Okay, And many unicorn Indian companies, yes, they've done well, but then many of them you must have seen are just nothing but Indian versions of the same ideas that have already been successfully established elsewhere. I'm India's first ride-sharing app and so forth. Okay, not to pick on any particular company, but then I just mean to say that, okay, they've been the first movers, but it's nothing paradigm shifting. There are a few companies that have done that, but then it's mostly, just Indianized versions of various other models that have succeeded elsewhere, where the risk is minimal and then the rewards are enormous. And somehow the society, actually, I feel strongly that it does not give enough incentive for us to take outside risks. So we don't take risks. So we are content with being traders or middlemen, and that has to change too. So this is maybe the most important slide, okay, in the whole thing. So how to transform India? Actually, we need to de-urbanize. We need to move away from cities to smaller towns, and that really has to happen soon, because right now is the time it can happen, because we don't have to, this self-fulfilling prophecy where 10 people come, 100 people come, 1,000 people come, and cities have been built because everybody then becomes dependent on each other. Now we have to actually, yes, that dependence and that connection can be there, but then we don't have to be physically all in one place. Okay, so we can de-urbanize and go to smaller towns. Okay, and then decongest and then let the environment repair itself. Okay, so here actually remote jobs, local jobs, education, remote education is possible. Local jobs can be created anywhere. Okay, and you can work for multinational corporations from Salem in Tamil Nadu, okay, or Nagpur. And and one thing I actually often okay, entertainment, IPTV TV is there, and so entertainment can be experienced from anywhere. Local entertainment sometimes in villages and towns are sometimes better, actually, where it's possible to connect back with certain culture and drama and shows and all that. Okay, healthcare, again, most of our ailments aren't so serious that we need the ultimate specialist, and electronic care is also possible from specialists. Then culture and values. Okay, we can appreciate it better if we are not so stressed. Okay, etc. So one thing I want to focus on is people say, okay, when I talk to people about this, people say, oh, I have all my friends here. Okay, so in a way, we have to feel that everywhere, everyone is our friend. Okay, I mean, we can, if we fixate ourselves as, okay, Shyam, Ram, and Lata are my friends, then that's it. So my own life, actually, I just don't have any such specific relationships and feel that somebody is closer or not close. If I've not met them, I mean, it's just that I've not met somebody, I've met somebody, that's all. I know somebody more than somebody who I've not met. So in a way, you can make friends anywhere, essentially of anybody. Okay, it's just that you have to have a commonality that you can strike the moment you make a conversation. Okay, and then all our prejudices become dissolved. Okay, so this way we have to de-urbanize, and this is sort of too much to go through right now. So I'll just sort of keep it simple. And then in fact, what we are killing are, our lifestyle transmitted diseases, food supply chain disruptions. I want to actually focus on this. So right now we have not experienced so much food supply disruptions, but then the more we aggregate in one place, if something goes wrong where there is food supply disruption, things could take a serious turn. There could be riots, there could be anything. So I think, by decongesting places, you're not putting so much pressure on the government and society to keep feeding the inferno. Okay, and you almost have very little room for error by the time society becomes so dependent on everything in supply chain, working perfectly forever. Okay, and drinking water, scarcity and drinking water problems in cities, suffocating children. Actually, I used to climb trees and enjoy life. I don't see any person on a tree at all. It's been 20-25 years since I saw anyone on a tree, and some of the fondest. I'm only 50 or so, but then some of the fondest memories I have are actually up on trees. And that's where we used to, in fact, sit and have conversations. Okay, and then, but then actually that kind of lifestyle is lost. And I think we can become digital. We can browse a phone up a tree, actually, and or actually at least have a conversation with friends. And lack of control over time, actually, this is one of the most important things that city life is actually is a curse. Okay, so we must gain control over our time. And so this is the real reason why we have to de-urbanize as soon as possible. So quickly, our destiny from here. So India, actually, I just saw a report, unhappy, and on happiness rank, we ranked 144th out of 156 nations, basically because it says we are among the 12-13 most unhappy nations as people. I don't think this is true. It's just that we are caught between, traditions and Western materialism, where we cannot get something, we become unhappy. And whereas maybe some other people from other countries, they don't have the same kind of aspirations we do. So we are caught between aspirations and wanting to retain our peace that we grew up with. Okay, and so that's this data actually may have some data might be right, but then this might be, it should be viewed in the context of that. So this is one of the things I put together. I mean, this is just to be taken in a light manner, okay, not literally. The Americans seem to be searching for everything whose identity they do not know, and the Chinese seem to be searching for nothing whose identity they appear certain about. So I'm not going to like take this apart. I just said the Americans seem to be searching for everything whose identity they do not know. So because they are broad-minded, they search for a lot of things. But then sometimes, often I talk to people and they seem a bit lost. They seem lost anyway. Not everybody, but many people seem lost. Okay, about what life is about. I mean, and the Chinese actually are on a mad rush for materialism. Okay, and they almost seem to be searching for nothing. Okay, and the identity of whatever they're searching for, they seem to know. I'm not looking for anything. I know exactly what I want, and this is what I want. But then the thing is, why? Because they've lost their culture. After the Cultural Revolution happened, they lost a lot of their beautiful and ancient rich culture, which once lost, actually, it's very hard to get back. You cannot just say, okay, I'm going to start a great movement to start, for everybody in China to start appreciating our culture from today. Okay, so because culture has to be handed over from generations to generations, and this is why it was very important, and we have preserved and protected it. Actually, we are the only civilization that has maintained our culture and civilization continuously for millenniums. And there is something to preserve here. I mean, I'm not talking about religion at all here. I'm just talking about culture and values. Okay, even a certain amount of respect for our parents, and then thinking of them as our first teachers. Okay, so India can help the way here in leading humanity. So previously, there was a bit of depressing data, education and this and that. But I feel that actually India is still the light, so India can lead the way in helping humanity in its quest to search for the right things whose identity we do know. Okay, we are a lot more grounded actually than these two, and then we happen to be right in the center. So we can bring these two, the West and the East, the Far East together. Okay, into a common theme for the world. Okay, so especially in the form of the eternal and universal truth that we are one. We are all one. Okay, when I say we, means not people, everything. Okay, so mimicking the West or China is definitely not what we should not do, and which is what we are doing. Okay, it is going to lead to undesirable consequences, which it already has. Okay, you can see the environment. You can see happiness itself is the lack of happiness itself is a part of this. We cannot really. We are fundamentally different people, so we just cannot go and mimic the West or China and then hope to have all the material benefits, comforts, at the same time retain our peace of mind and be happy. And that's definitely not going to happen. Okay, so we need to strike out our own unique path and erase the lack of confidence that has kept us in the shadows for too long. I mean, one thing is we have to feel confident about who we are and what we are about, and we don't need to copy anybody, and we just have to take our own path. Okay, and technology is very much a part of it. It's not like we are giving up something, and whatever we can benefit from West or China or wherever, it's all welcome, but it should be in our way. These uncertain times have given Bharat just the opening we need. This Corona break or whatever is actually given us just the opening we need. It's put a pause. So we should start really, sort of stepping back a bit and then, changing course. Okay, and we can then establish Bharat's destiny as a torchbearer for humanity itself. Okay, this is all a bit philosophical. What can we do? What actions can we take? First, actually, everything we do, we should just think of everything as one. Okay, unless we do that, we're going to be, thinking of, our own benefits, or maybe the benefits of our people in our state or our community and all that. So if that happens, then we won't really be able to contribute anything to the world. Okay, but in fact, this is what our biggest contribution is going to be. It has been. This is why people come to India and visit India when they're lost from the West. Okay, and from many places, Singapore or wherever, or China. Even many Chinese actually come to India and actually learn our philosophies. So why? Because we have a universal message for all of humanity, that we are one. We have to moderate consumption. This is not good news for corporates, because 53% of our GDP is consumption based. Okay, but then we have to moderate consumption. We don't have to consume like mad, whether we want it or not, like it or not. We just consume. We feel like doing something, buying something. We have to buy and consume responsibly, because actually I want to focus on one thing. Many people feel China is a factory to the world. Actually, it's not like they are the factory to the world without any impact. China has suffered immense environmental impact, and we should certainly feel for them. Okay, and they decided to make that call. Okay, So whether we need to make that call or not. So we have to, okay, make in India, we have to focus on what is essential for our sustenance, other items that can be made in India with moderate environmental impact. If there's an extreme environmental impact, we got to think about it. Okay, we just don't have to like go blindly and do everything all the time just because it's going to actually increase our exports or increase our GDP. We have to make actually informed decisions on what is it. Scandinavian countries are experts at this. They actually exactly know where they add value and they focus on that. They don't really get in the rat race at all. So from ugly to beautiful, actually to the left of this particular thing, I see actually, this is one thing we need to essentially improve upon. The whole, most of the Indian cities are ugly, I mean, sorry to say this, but that's how I see these cables. And so our nature of our work is like this. I mean, hardly anywhere in the world you can see, at least in the, so without any sense of, responsibility, this is how telecom wires are running. So one of this is cut, a whole bunch of homes will lose power, or digital connectivity. Okay, so this really needs to be fixed. Actually, we need to start really organizing ourselves to say, okay, we need to do this beautifully. In fact, I want to say something personally. In this COVID break, I got a little time, so I started to make round rotis and round dosas. And then I started to actually, I learned these things I could make already, but then I wasn't exactly round. And I said, okay, you know what, I want to make it round. Okay, and how to make a roti. Okay, you don't really apply much pressure on the center, but instead you apply pressure on the edges and you let it go around. And so I sort of watched some videos and then I started practicing it. And then how to make, curd. I mean, curd at home making is of course easy, but then how to make the perfect one. What temperature should that milk be, etc. Okay. And so these are things that I enjoyed actually. And then simple things actually we should start doing well and take pride in it actually. And this is sort of not taught. And so then the society reflects that. Okay. And of course, rebuild India into a decentralized and decongested, but ultra connected digital economy. I mean by decongested and decentralized, but then ultra connected. In fact, by decentralizing and decongesting, you need ultra connectivity, because when people have gone up, and living peacefully in their own hamlets, I mean to say smaller towns and cities, you need that kind of connectivity, and that's possible today. It wasn't possible 10 years ago, it's possible today. So now is the opportunity. One thing we really need to do is we got immense talent. Indians are actually the heads of so many great companies, and then there are so many great consultants and bankers and this and that. But we have somehow not organized those people to contribute in a systematic manner to then propel India forward. So the government should take some initiative. This should come from the government. I mean, there are many NGOs and so forth, but then it should come from the government to actually tap into this immense expertise and then to propel the nation forward. Each of us should feel that the future of India is personally in each one of our own hands, not in the government's hands. Okay, government is an enabler. So finally, I want to actually have a personal message. This is the last slide. Okay, personal message. So there are two types actually. This is according to British psychologist Raymond Cattell, and two types of intelligence. How to keep ourselves in the game. This is about, okay, okay, we are 30s, 40s, 50s. Okay, where do we go from here? How to keep ourselves in the game, active in the game. So there are two types of intelligence, fluid intelligence and crystallized intelligence. Fluid intelligence is when you're younger in our age, we start looking at things in different ways, we innovate, etc. And some people have that more than others. And crystallized intelligence is about the intelligence derived from experiences. Like an architect has a lot of experience, but yet they are creative. They use their creativity that they essentially have as a part of their nature and their upbringing and their education and all that. And then essentially they also use the crystallized intelligence, basically, that they have derived from executing a lot of projects. Okay, and then but then the problem is that if we're not alert, the professional decline starts sooner than we expect. For example, right now sitting here, I could have been in professional decline for 10 years and I won't even realize it. I don't even realize it. And soon enough, I become irrelevant. Okay, and then I come to know it too late, and then I cannot really get myself back in the game. Okay, so I think what we need to do is we need to become self-aware. Okay, and then I just read an article. Actually, you can read that article, Arthur Brooks in the Atlantic. Okay, about how to essentially deal with this potential professional decline if you're not self-aware, and then we don't really channel our fluid intelligence and crystallized intelligence in the right manner and continuously so. Okay, so we need to keep the fluid intelligence bubbling, and then yet we need to actually benefit from all the experiences that has been crystallized in the form of that crystallized intelligence. And so technology can help us here, to focus on what we need to do now, given all the information available, by filtering out the noise. Given all the information available, what do we need to do now? Okay, so because you have a lot of experience, okay, going back to the past, a lot of experience, but then filtering out all that and then deciding what to do, which of that experience to put in action right now, right here, right now, is the most important thing. Which is why fluid intelligence can help actually in even drawing from crystallized intelligence and then essentially making us take the right action at the right time. Okay, and that's all I have. Discussions, please. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Jay. It was quite quick and on dot. At time, I think we will have good discussion, and there are a few questions. I also request participants to put your questions if you have any, so that we can share that to Speaker Jay. Jay, very informative, and you said one thing I noticed. You said China is far ahead of India when it comes to digital transformation. How long do you think India will take to catch up with China?
Actually, I want to rephrase that question. We shouldn't be thinking of catching up with anybody at all. Okay, because the moment you start thinking of catching up with someone, you have to copy them. For example, if you're running a race and you want to catch up with somebody, you have to run the same race. That's when you can catch up with them. So this is why I was mentioning again and again that we often talk about, okay, India is 25 years behind, 50 years behind, 10 years behind, etc. GDP behind, or innovation, so many patents are filed, etc. So what we need to do is we need to do the right things for this society. We need to actually give our children the right education in the right manner with the right perspective. So that sort of is not happening. Not nearly so at all. And so once we do that, let the right things happen. So let's not think about things in terms of competition. Let's think about things in terms of collaborating with others and then doing what's right for us.
So when you say collaborating with others, so what we have seen in India in the last 1 week, there's a lot of video that's been sharing in WhatsApp that our Mukesh Ambani announcing the association with Google, which investing almost 9 billion US dollar to Indian economy, and Facebook is already. So you think these changes can bring revolution to India?
I think so, because there's a lot of money, and I'm sure, just as Geo has done, they will channel the money in the right manner. But then, in the 20s, the extent to which it reaches the common business and the common person, and how it reaches them in a personalized or customized manner, has to be seen. But then, what they are thinking about doing with that money and how they are actually going to go about it, we would know then. But then, of course, there's a lot of money and a lot of good can be done with it. And the kind of backers they have, Google, Facebook, etc. They have that's just not just the money; they have a lot of power as well. And so I definitely have no doubt that this is a great development.
So this question for both Anand and Jay. Do you think that our education system need to change? Okay, why I'm saying is this: now this pandemic situation, everybody is going online. So the urban schools are okay. The English going students are private schools are enforcing the children to hire a PC or use a smartphone. But when you look at a rural area, our rural educations, where majority of the population still go to government schools and corporation schools. But I don't think those institutions, education institutions, still yet to catch up with digital. I don't think those students who are living in poor rural area are able to afford to go online, study online. So do you think that our entire education system need to change? This question for both Anand and Jay.
Go ahead, Anand.
Education is actually two factors, in my view. One is knowledge, and the other one is certification. So the system that is prevalent in our country and to a large extent many countries in the world is mainly certification driven process. But today, if a person in rural area wants to gain knowledge with simple digital connectivity, a lot of opportunities. Today, the same courses that takes 4 to 5 years to complete are available on EDX and Coursera's at, at 1/4 the time at a very fraction of a cost with the same knowledge and certificates from reputed universities worldwide. So the education system changing is not about changing the knowledge part of it, but it is about changing the mindset. What are we doing in the whole process? That's my view. So currently, due to COVID, there is home-based learning, and the governments are insisting on home-based learning, but away from the urban areas to semi-urban and rural areas, how many of them have laptops and desktops and a proper internet to take these courses? How are the teachers in those schools which they go equipped to actually deliver these kind of online courses? In urban areas, we see the teachers having enough infrastructure in the schools for them to record or from their home to deliver. But then you go to a rural area, do you think a teacher is equipped well enough to deliver their biology or chemistry classes online? There's a question mark. So it's not about just the system alone. So it's the whole ecosystem that needs to be looked into and not just one part of the system. That's my view.
Oh, Jay?
I feel that digital, in spite of all the digital technologies that have arrived, most of them, yes, there are knowledge-based technologies, but then a lot of Indian, I mean, you must have seen the ads. Okay, there are all these, online companies that are advertising. Of course, their intention is to, get subscribers and make money and potentially their investors happy and so forth. They say, okay, IIT exam, this exam, that exam, all these exams. Okay, and so they actually list the exams themselves as reasons why you need to join. Okay, I have not really seen anybody. I mean, if you say, okay, you need to come and gain this knowledge, and that's why you need to actually join a course, you may not have that many applicants or that many participants. So we need to actually fundamentally, as a society, start encouraging the value of knowledge itself for knowledge's sake. And then unless we do that, we're not going to be able to build an advanced society. Okay, you cannot really always say, okay, this knowledge is useful. That's the knowledge I'm going to pursue. If the knowledge is useless, I'm not going to pursue it, because the use of a piece of knowledge comes later, not when you actually exactly invent it or discover it. Okay, so the whole premise itself is not really healthy. Okay, right now, which puts unnecessary and immense pressure on children too. So I feel that first that has to change, sort of a social mindset about what education is about. And then, you can go into all this. Second thing I have to comment is quickly that no matter what digital does, we need to actually be out there in the field doing practical things, okay, to make real education happen.
No, Jay, everybody has a smartphone. So 80% of the populations have smartphone in their hand. Question to you is whether this smartphone is connected to the home that they live. Are they really using the maximum benefit of that smartphone in their day-to-day life? Okay, that is point number one. Point number two, there is always a threat that the moment you start connected with internet, your household equipment. Okay, I'm not talking about business, the household. So your data is stolen. There are hackers who can still see your bedroom activity or your activity inside the house through the camera, though you're not switching on. But this digital transformation or using smartphone for your day-to-day life, is it good or bad? Is it true that somebody can sitting in China or somewhere Western country can hack on your phone and still able to see your activity wherever you are?
Okay, that's a great question. So, because it's you asked a few different things. So, first thing I want to answer is before I come to the security issue about what can a phone do. Okay, so right now actually even though we may have fancy phones, some of us, and some of us may have, just normal phones, but still smartphones. I don't think that any person uses them to, let's say, 10, 20% of its potential. So it's still actually, the same old messages, calls, and checking email, and then maybe reading some news or whatever. So phone can do a lot more. So that's what I said. So so why? Because in almost all these cases, we are reaching out. Okay, when things start coming to us, informing us what we need to do right now, okay, things will change, and that you have not seen yet. So right now, that's what I said. Actually, the infrastructure is laid out. So the foundation of a building is laid out. The building is not yet built. The edifice is not yet up. So because of this, you feel as if actually, phone is just doing the same old things. But actually, first it's going in a good sequence. First, you need to have the infrastructure. Then we have the phones, powerful enough. Now, actually, the next sort of evolution is things are going to happen in a personalized manner. You will really start seeing the benefits. Then actually, it's not just the phone, it's the power of information that can be delivered for you at that time. The second part of the question is about security. So look, whenever there is progress, for example, you have a car, it can break down. Okay, but then it helps you get from one place to the other quickly. Okay, so whenever you have anything in life, it's possible that there are challenges and that there are breakdowns. Okay, so but this cannot be a reason why we should quit using something that can be helpful to us. Okay.
No, is it true that somebody can hack into your phone and see the camera?
I mean, when somebody means what, you have to, okay, that has to be that kind of an opening, and somebody has to spot it and take it. But it is possible in certain situations. I mean, you must have seen Twitter was, hacked, okay, some time ago, a few days ago, and so forth. So the thing is, it is possible, but then it's fixable. Okay, so human progress has always been like that. And so you cannot really design a system that is foolproof from the beginning. Okay, but then if you're living in fear that, okay, something is going to happen, we will not really be a part of the progress at all, and we'll become a dinosaur. So essentially the thing is, while it's possible, we don't need to worry so much about it, because the entire ecosystem will take steps to protect, because there are far more good people than there are bad people. So the whole ecosystem will take steps to protect it. And then ultimately, those kinds of incidences will be far and few. So even now bank accounts are stolen. Okay, but not from the banks, but by actually phishing and so forth. So, there might be ways, but then it'll cure itself out. Okay. Yeah.
So we have a question from Shankaralingam. He's asking how digitalization is improving human values over the period.
Human values.
How digitalization is improving human values over the period.
Now, digital. Okay, that's a sort of a question that can be answered in many ways. But then I'd like to talk to him to understand where he's coming from to give him the right answer. But then I don't know about human values, but values part I will set aside for now. Basically, how we can improve oneself is to help one connect with oneself. Okay, what is actually technology trying to do? Okay, so I just summarized something that I went over. So you have a piece of information somewhere, you are in tension, you are in a bit of stress. Okay, I don't know what's going on there. I need to, get that information. You're calling, the call is not going through, etc. You get stressed, worked up. If that piece of information could be delivered to you anytime, you're always connected with that particular piece of information. Okay, is that godown locked or not and secure? Okay, whatever it is. You are a distributor, there's a godown. Okay, whatever. So you want to make sure, okay, now when that connectivity happens, you don't have to basically worry about that. You don't have to keep making those calls and send those messages. So that means you're connected. So that's a way of connecting with yourself, not with that piece of information. You're connecting with yourself. By connecting with something outside, you're connecting with something inside. So it gives you the space, like I showed you that particular empty space. You don't have those 6 circles that you got to keep worrying about. So you have essentially that space. So that if you have the space to connect with yourself, then you have the ability to appreciate all the good things about life. You can smell the roses, or you can appreciate the values. The main thing is that the way we are headed right now is information overload, and a great sense of desperation about, okay, am I making the right decisions or not? In this kind of a state of mind, we cannot really appreciate our own lives, let alone appreciate values. Okay, so we need to actually turn the clock back using technology. Technology has created opportunities and issues. So we need to use technology to turn the clock back and create and then get the information cycle back to us, connect with whatever we need to do, whatever is important, and then essentially reach out to the inside. Okay, and then I think we can answer that question by saying that yes, it can help with our values, but in this sense.
Anand, so his question was,
I have a more
civilization is losing human value. You have anything to say?
Yeah, well, I have a more simplistic view to this. Of course, I do understand the Jay's, more, high-level view of, the values. In my view, digitalization has helped connectivity. Connectivity has helped people connect with other people whom they don't know, but who may have a same value. So through digital connectivity in whatever form, social media, through internet, through various kinds of platforms, I am able to connect with an unknown person anywhere in the globe on the same network who shares the same value as me. It could be related to helping a particular cause. It could be related to reaching out to the downtrodden. It could be connecting with people in the same art, same artistic mindset. So I could be connecting with anybody in Africa today on a single platform to understand what their needs are related to, say, water and food. And I would be able to connect with somebody else in a similar platform who has got the resources, technology, and the money to be able to provide that person, maybe in India or maybe in Africa, that kind of need. And so digitalization has helped in connecting people across, different geographies and different, culture and race to come together for a particular value or a cause they believe in. So that is my view.
Great point, Anand.
A question from Deepak. How better we can take digital transformation and technology in agriculture category, and how better we can help farmers, where still most of the farmers are not aware of using smartphone in India.
Anand, do you want to go or?
I'm not qualified enough to answer from that aspect, but I would leave it to Jay to take that call. Or Dominic, you can answer.
So,
I feel the farmers are quite knowledgeable. They may not have access to digital technology, but they have access to phones, and they're already integrated into various community-based, platforms from the well-doers in that. It could be related to cutting off the middleman, which was one of the points Jay talked about in today's call as well, from a producer directly to the consumer. And today, digitalization has already helped the farmers cut away the middleman, take their produce directly from where they are to the buyers, and reap better profits for themselves. And they are also able to know what the market wants, not necessarily what the middleman tells them to do. So it has already helped them. So obviously that's a good start, but still a long way to go. But that's a very generalist and high level view I have by looking at various media reports. But on a grassroots level, I'm sure in India, Jay and Dom, you would have a better view to that.
I think also that's it. I mean, because most of the time farmers actually have one single problem, that whatever they grow has to be profitable. And often we hear that the cost of making a crop, products, a crop, or the cost of, putting us, whatever 100 bags of rice out there is not what, is actually more than what, they might expect to earn. So, it's not always the case, but often it's a case that puts people under a lot of stress, and then there are loans and so forth. So the main thing is that I think because India is a very big country, the government is addressing this. Is sort of almost needs government, tools to manage. So I think they've come out and say, okay, what to sow when, how to actually rotate crops to keep land fertile, and then essentially how to actually forecast weather better. Okay, and then essentially from there, from production, then actually it's just what Anand was saying about disintermediating the middleman and actually trying to go directly to the market. And then by perceiving like the futures market, by pursuing, okay, this is, if I it's a guaranteed thing. Okay, if I make this much, then I'm going to earn this much. So when you know that, you can be secure. You don't have to then deal with uncertainty. So that's another thing actually I was saying about making something unknown in the future known. Okay, and that essentially is the most important thing I'd like to say. Again and again, the same thing. Something in the future is unknown. We have to make it known. And so this essentially brings a certain level of predictability to the farmers.
Yeah, Anand and Jay, in this forum, the participants, we have, well-known engineers in technology. We have one of the founder of Electrical Revolution, Mr. Bhavani Prasad is also as a participant, and he's like our Vishwesharaya in electrical side. And we also have R.K. Singh. He is the former chief engineer of Doordarshan, when Doordarshan started putting up satellite and all that. So he played a very important role in media revolution in the country. So we have two eminent speakers, the participants here listening to you. He's asking one important question to you. How artificial intelligence is going to impact our society? Is it good or dangerous?
Anand, you want to go or should I?
You can go. I'll go after you, Jay.
Okay. So actually, it's not dangerous. It just sounds dangerous. Artificial intelligence. Actually, nothing called artificial intelligence. It just names as such. So you could actually think of it as or machine learning, etc. It just sounds dangerous. You could just think of it as in simple terms, like, okay, again, as life gets complex compared to the agrarian societies we had, where you had time to relax, come back home, take a nap, go back to the fields, etc. Now things are happening in warp mode, where we have to crunch a lot of information in a short span of time and make the right decisions. And when you are in a position of responsibility, the decisions you make matter a lot. It can impact other people's lives and even your own life. So the thing is, for example, even in cancer treatment, okay, what is the situation right now? And personalized medicine, okay, what is the situation right now for a person? And then, whether they should go for this kind of treatment or that kind of treatment or this particular focus treatment or whatever. So there are so many decisions from, healthcare to just daily decisions to decisions that companies and corporations need to make. So when you look at actually all the factors that are changing around us, okay, and as well as our own internal preferences, given the same set of data, given the same set of, let's say Anand and I are the same business, and then we both we still have different perspectives on life. So let's say we see some changes happening in the landscape. So he will see that as an opportunity. I'll see that as maybe a threat. Okay. So the thing is that as the landscape changes outside of us, okay, and as we see data change, as we see the environment change, okay, how are we going to respond to it? So this is quite complex for our mind to process all the time, essentially, and then make the right decision. So here is where essentially some computing power comes in. And then this is one part, essentially computing power. Sometimes we may not, our brain is quite powerful. We have a lot of things that AI can never produce. Okay. The second thing really is that, okay, so we have calculated something fast. Okay. But also AI is capable of considering factors that we may not have considered, factors that may not even appear to us, that are very pertinent in a situation. So I don't think we should feel threatened. We should welcome it, but then in a manner that is useful for us.
I hope Mr. R.K. Singh understood the speaker's perspective on whether AI is dangerous or good. So moving to another question, there are a lot of cyber crimes happening, which is scary for a common man, especially for elders, to use digital platform. How do you think we can be assuring of protecting the data? We need to be quick on the answer because we have a lot of questions.
Anand, you go ahead.
So this kind of ties into the last point about artificial intelligence. It's two sides of the same coin. Anything on technology can be used for good or for bad. So the when it is used for good, there's good done to the humankind. When it's being done bad, when it's being used for bad purposes, that's where the fear sets in. And there is some kind of resistance or skepticism towards adapting the technology. So the cyber crime is a very classical example. So this is where the government, the policymakers, the lawmakers, and the enforcement agencies have to come together, because of the fear of, the technology being misused should not deter the technology itself, in terms of being mass deployed. Cybercrime can be stopped not by the doing away from technology, but by having a very strong enforcement policy. We have seen that in many countries, India still lacks the enforcement policies and also the ability of the lawmakers and the police to understand what is cybercrime. So how do they deal with an elderly person who goes to a police station to lodge a cybercrime? How many police stations in India are equipped to handle these kind of cases? So it's not about the fear of crime, but about the fear of managing the crime, I think, which is a bigger issue.
Okay, move to another question from Minal. All of technology depends on sustained, stable energy supply, which is huge challenge in India. How could this be handled at best? You yourself, being in Chennai, you were saying that I have a DG because you don't know when the power goes and all that. So the question is relevant here. She's saying technology depends on sustained, stable energy supply, which is a huge challenge in India. So how could this be handled at best?
It's a question that is that is in fact, so right here, sitting here in Chennai, actually we have somewhat stable supply, but then sometimes we lose power without any announcement at all. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I have no clue what's happening, and suddenly comes back. So I was talking actually some of the expats that live here in Chennai, and they said, nowhere in the world, even in similar developing countries, we have not seen power randomly, in an area you lose, and then I don't know how it's in Bangalore. But I've not seen that in Singapore or US. Like suddenly you sit there and then it's power, and you lose power and then it's back after 5, 10, 15, or an hour, half an hour. So this actually can, this is not an act of God. This is an act of human beings. And so let's say there's some maintenance that needs to be done, etc. We have people in an area, so we should inform people and then do it at a time that causes the least kind of inconvenience. So actually, the people in the government, actually, they don't have, they feel that, okay, they're empowered and they have this power in their hands and they can go, so-called maintenance they need to do, they can go turn it off, and then too bad. That's kind of the attitude. So we need to actually change, frankly, an attitude problem as much as it is an infrastructure problem.
No, I wish Mr. Bhavani Prasad, who's the participant who's here, could answer this, because he is from the team which set up a lot of substations and distribution centers across the country. So the technology can be anything, but if you don't have a stable power, stable current which is flowing into homes and offices, so all this technology will be useless. So Mr. Satish Arya from Dubai, so he is answering to the question on the agriculture. So PM Modi has recently discussed with the same subject in agriculture revolution with Google Sundar Pichai. So that's how the partnership where Google will contribute a lot to the rural development, the funding that they are doing to revolutionize the farming. So that's what Mr. Satish was reminding that this is going to happen. Again, Mr. R.K. Singh is commenting. I informed you, R.K. Singh was the former Doordarshan chief on engineering. So Bill Gates said one of the ML is more than the 10 Microsoft. How do you react? So Bill Gates said one of the ML, I don't know what does that ML mean, is more than the 10 Microsoft. So how do you react? Anand, do you understand, because you're from Microsoft, you've worked there. Do you understand what is that ML, 1 ML?
Presuming what Mr. R.K. Singh is meaning by ML is machine learning.
Could be.
So if it is the same, if my understanding is correct, maybe Mr. R.K. Singh could put back on the chat that if ML means machine learning, then, well, yes, Machine learning, yeah. So he says it's yes, yes. So machine learning is basically um, one of the earlier questions that came up also was about how artificial intelligence is a threat. So it all ties back to what the systems can learn better than the human beings. And then at a point where they overtake human beings in ability to deliver what is expected out of that particular algorithm. So, for example, today as we speak on COVID situations across the globe, I came across a very wonderful technology where using a simple white light thrown on the face for 30 seconds, and I personally witnessed it last week, using some algorithms from a mobile device, it's able to read our heart rate, the oxygen level, the stress levels, the SpO2 levels, all in 30 seconds, and it is displayed on a very nice dashboard. And the inventor is right now looking at deploying this across, multiple, use cases like airports for easing travel, schools, educations, etc. Or if you want to go to an event, you have to use this, app for you to register your parameters before you're allowed entry into the space. So machine learning is where all this comes into picture. So the more and more data is coming into the life of each one of us, and as digital transformation is driving the not only the generation of data but the deployment of data as well, then the data has no meaning until a machine takes over to understand what needs to be done with it. So to a large extent, yes, what Mr. RK Singh is saying is that one machine learning is equivalent of 10 Microsofts. But then the machine learning will not be able to generate an utility out of it. So we still need to come in and generate the utility. So it can generate data into a nice dashboard. But what we do with the data, how, for example, Microsoft comes up with Microsoft Teams or Microsoft Excel or Word, machine cannot do that. So you still need to take the data and put it into a Word document to make it a meaningful report or a meaningful data set for the users to understand that. So what it means is that one machine learning can replace hundreds of jobs. For sure, it can do that. It's already done that, and it will only make it more scary, because one machine that can replace hundreds of jobs now, the same machine can replace thousands of jobs in the future. So the machine learning is about how to use that data for a more meaningful use case for an individual in the life, and how companies, and that's where digital transformation comes into picture, is to be able to have a better utility of those kind of data for simplifying the life.
Thank you, Anand. That's a very good answer. And RK Singh is also artificial intelligence specialist. So I recently had an interaction with him. He's a AI specialist. So he will be presenting probably in August in my forum. Another question from Chinmaya Mishra. Education system is really required to overall India, but then this sector is very much practical driven. How digitization would really helpful in this sector? Also, a virtual classroom and class students would lose many natural classroom atmosphere. How digitization could be a solution for that? In a virtual classroom versus real classroom, does it lose the experience?
Of course it does. And I'm, in fact, around the world, people, even schools and colleges, universities, etc. For example, in the US, I know that they want their students back as soon as possible on campuses, because nobody is under the illusion that classroom learning can be substituted 100% by digital learning. Digital learning is a supplement. Okay, classroom learning is about learning from teachers, learning from students, learning from others, learning from friends, not only learning subjects, but learning other aspects of life. Okay, so that's how we grew up. And so I think that there's no substitute at all, no digital equivalent at all. So I have no doubt that we are going to be going back to the traditional form of education. Okay, digital is a supplement, not a substitute.
Anand, is it possible to cater to different businesses and individuals since the requirement and parameters are different? How long do you think is needed to build such, platform?
So this is from a concept of just repeat that question again, Dom. I couldn't say that.
Is it possible to cater to different businesses and individuals? The digital transformation can cater to different businesses and individuals. Since the requirement and parameters are different, how long do you think to need to build such platform?
Absolutely. In fact, yeah, that was one of the very earlier points that we had before the start of the talk. Jay also was, how do you get all this various digital solutions, which was basically the realms of the large enterprise or the so-called, the rich people of the society to a common man? How do you get what is automation, not from a luxury standpoint, but from a necessity perspective to the common man? How do you get it into the lives of, the individuals who look at, running their day-to-day life in a very easy and convenient form, all on a mobile phone itself? So that is what is digital transformation. It's not about having a very large, corporate building with automated lights, and as you enter, lights turn on and aircon turn on. That's fancy feature, but that's not digital transformation. When you and I get out of the office, how do we have features and functions on our mobile phone that tells me what I should be doing now and what I should be doing next, and how it interlinks the two? So yes, as long as there are solutions and there are devices that comes into the implementation level at a very affordable price into businesses and into individuals, and we have a good tool that connects all of this, through a simple platform on either 4G or a Wi-Fi technology. It is there today. There are plenty of such kind of solutions, but everything are fragmented, are very separated technology. If everything stitches together, it becomes easy. So for example, while we are having this webinar call, I should be able to manage a couple of things in my offices, in a couple of things in my businesses, all from my mobile phone app. So it affects me as an individual. It also helps me manage the business properly without, having to be there at that point in time.
Good.
I hope
that's a very, very, very valid answer. You have answered quite well. The last question is from my side itself. See, in India, we have various critical services in the building. Okay, you have elevator, we have air conditioning, we have plumbing, we have electrical, then we have firefighting. Okay, and also IBMS, Intelligent Building Management System. So majority of the building in India today, it operates standalone. Okay, elevator works as a standalone system in a building, and plumbing, entire plumbing is a standalone, and sewage treatment plant is standalone. So everything is standalone. So today, in most of our discussions and seminar, we are talking about integrating all these critical services in a building. You integrate your, sewage treatment plant and plumbing and your electrical and your elevator, everything controlled, and your energy. So end of the day, as a builder or as a occupant of that building, I would like to have in one dashboard, very simple, that how the elevator is functional or not functional, and how many people are occupied, and when it was serviced last. So when it comes to energy, how much energy this building is consuming, how much the air cycle changes of the air conditioning system. So there are a lot of information need to be the biggest challenge that we have in this industry today. Every supplier who supplies his equipment comes with a close protocol. Like as an end user, as a facility manager, if I want to integrate air conditioning with, you know, say a plumbing, okay, air conditioning with elevator. Elevators guy will not be able to give the protocol for me to integrate. So the biggest challenge is how do you know, move away from closed protocol to open protocol? Is there any way that the closed protocol can be converted to open protocol without the, you know, the suppliers, you know, involvement? So if this can be brought in, this platform can be available through digital power, you know, transformation, where you bring in all this information to one single dashboard, and wherever I am, whichever part of this on this earth, I should be able to get the information. So the question to Jay, can we integrate all these critical services of the building to your mobile and get all this information?
Okay, great question, Dominic. In fact, overall, that's really where we are going. So there are legacy systems. There are certain systems that are closed, as you said, and then they cannot be, brought online. Okay, but increasingly, the systems that have been installed in the past maybe 4 or 5 years, they already are. They are designed by various manufacturers with APIs or with certain ways to at least to connect. If even if they don't cooperate, at least there are relay-based controls available, where essentially, you don't need to learn a protocol. You can actually send a command and actually turn on or off a pump, etc., or basically access a certain floor using for a lift that needs to be integrated. So actually, there are ways to do this. Okay. The root cause of the problem is not even that. The root cause of the problem is the whole. These systems have been designed with actually not people in mind. These systems have been designed with the equipment in mind. So these manufacturers are not thinking about the users or the people. They are not designed for essentially. They're designed. Okay, the sewage treatment plant is designed essentially to move a certain amount of, to process a certain number of sewage and to treat it and then to pump the water back after it's treated. So this is their focus. So they're not thinking about essentially, the people that will be using it, the people that will be monitoring it, etc. If they do, essentially, it's only the sewage treatment. So you cannot really fault them for only focusing on what they need to do. But they are running a company, they need to do, and they need to actually sell as many systems as possible. They need to survive. But then things have changed. The last 3 to 5 years, actually, everybody that's making a control system, they know that they need to basically be able to securely get other systems to integrate. Okay, so I see that this is happening, and then legacy systems, while they cannot be brought in unless they have relay-based controls. Otherwise, I think in this decade, you're going to see that more and more buildings are going to have the kind of systems that you're talking about, where people can go and actually use a single dashboard without going to the BMS room. You can actually be in control of what's happening in the building.
So my question is it possible to integrate the current critical, the existing retrofit, the old system? Can we integrate possibly with possibility of your company that which is developed a lot of software and hardware? Can you able to integrate?
Much of it, but not all of it.
So much of it, not all of it. So going forward, I think we will have most of the machines are with open protocol. That's what now the awareness has been created. So when somebody, as an end user, if I are a facility manager, I'm ordering, a first question is it works on open protocol or closed protocol? So as long as it's open protocol, we can always integrate. That's what I learned with my experience. And ladies and gentlemen, it's 1:05 now. Thank you very much. I must thank Anand. I think he skipped his lunch. He's based out of Singapore. I think Jay, wonderful presentation. There are a lot of insights, a lot of learning. And as I said, learning, there's no age, there's no religion, no language. It's just a constant. So I could see Bhavani Prasad is almost 80 plus. And Mr. R.K. Singh is also 65 plus. They're still learning. As you can see the urge to learn. So there's no age bar for learning. And I thank all the participants, especially Mr. R.K. Singh, Mr. Arun Kumar is from Bureau of Indian Standard. So he is there, and Mr. R.K. Singh is also there. Wonderful audience we have here, and there are a lot of Dubai-based entrepreneurs also here. I'm sure they would like to understand more about Jairam and Jairam's capability and your company's offering. I will be sharing, if you can forward your profile or a company capability, probably I will share it with all my participants, so you will interact one-to-one with them, and that's how you can, build up a business channel with them. So I would thank you, Anand, you with such a great understanding on technology. I know you could have shared much more details, but we are running out of time, and we look forward to have another discussion very soon. And this will be on critical services integration using artificial intelligence, digital transformation, machine learning. So this will be in the third week of August. So all the eminent panel, it's a panel discussion. I look forward for your participation and your contribution to that, the forum. So it will be a 2-hour session. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone. And good to have you around. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much and all the best. Thank you.
Is Jay? Jay, are you there? He's closed his eyes. Okay, must be praying.
No, I think the frame is frozen. So I think there's a connectivity issue on the other side.
Okay, thank you. Look forward. Those who are interested, I can share the PPT and also share the YouTube link. Jay, want to say thank you to all the participants?
Yeah, Dom, can you hear me? I just cut out for a second. Actually, I thank you, Dom. Thank you, Anand, for organizing a great.
So we need to improve the technology there, Anand.
Yeah.
So,
like
one of the audience asked the question, what's the use of digital transformation when there is no digital connectivity?
Correct. So I mean, I just want to redefine the way we look at information and what it can do for us. It should not be about devices. It should be about us and what and the present moment. So I just wanted to actually have this kind of a discussion. The second thing is, of course, how we can all contribute to India's growth and development. So if I have at least made a few points in that regard, I'll feel happy about it. And then I do welcome people getting in touch with me for one-on-one or group discussions anytime. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to see you again. And next week we have the safe living, very interesting topic that we will be discussing next week. I would request all my friends to join in for this. I just wanted to share you that it's all about art of safe living. Today, most of us are living, the houses become an institution. So house is office restaurant, office, home is now education institute. So art of safe living is next Saturday. It will be interesting, and we have good panelists who will be talking about art of safe living. I look forward to join for this webinar next Saturday. Thank you very much. God bless you and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.